You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We are here with our weekend Cabral House Calls, the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept, where we answer our community's questions each and every weekend. Really, for the past 4 years now, almost getting ready to open up to 2020. Really excited to be able to continue to, in my own way, be able to reach out, provide people with the wellness, the weight loss, the anti-aging advice that they may have not come across before, or at least give them that second opinion to what they are doing right now. So always happy to read your questions. Love being able to provide the best information I can for you. And you know what? We're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it sweet for the intro to the show. I want to dive into your questions because I know that there's a lot of people out there in line with these questions. I answer them on a first-come, first-served basis. So we're answering questions from the very end of October right now, so we're about 6 weeks or so behind. I want to make sure that I get to as many as I can before the new year so that we are able to help those people and those people who've written in get started on the right track. Because I'm telling you right now, if you continue to do what you've always done, you will continue to get the results you've always gotten. So if you are okay with that, okay, then good for you. You're on the right path. But if you want something different for your life, if you want something more, I want to be able to help you shift in that new direction, to be able to take a different path or to at least look at life in a little different way. So let's dive right into the questions. The first question today is from Darcy. Darcy writes in, I love eating very spicy foods on a daily basis and drinking lemon water often. For a cheat meal once in a while, I will have pizza or pasta with marinara sauce. The other day, I think this way of eating collectively led to an issue of waking up at 3 a.m. with severe chest pain. Every deep breath of movement seemed to make it worse. My wife has had acid reflux times before and coached me through it. And I had an antacid, a glass of cow's milk, which so many people say helps so much, and it worked for me. I ended up sleeping in almost a sitting up position, laying down, because it intensified the pain. I'm 37. It was the first time I've had this, and I hope to make it my last. What does tomato sauce affect so many people? Why does tomato sauce affect so many people negatively, especially as we age, such as myself? This has never happened in my youth. I eat so clean now. Raw tomatoes eaten or put in smoothie cause no issues, but the sauce from tomatoes cause reflux or heartburn. Please explain why. It took about 3 days to fully recover. Thanks for all you do. Darcy, happy to answer this question for you. And what happens is twofold. So one, it is acid reflux, so there's that. It can be silent reflux, still affecting you in the same way. But what happens is your body in your stomach can actually be producing more stomach acid, or there can be a greater histamine and inflammatory-based reaction. That's why some people take acid blockers and some people take histamine blockers. Both help with acid reflux. Well, here's the issue, though. It very well could be the foods that you're eating, or it could be that they were eaten too close to bed as well. So why lemon? Why the marinara sauce? Why are these things causing issues? Well, they're actually quite acidic. So you might say, I've heard lemon is actually very alkaline, and you would be correct. However, as it enters the body, as you put it in your mouth and it goes into your stomach, it is very acid. It's very acidic. That's why some people get canker sores in their mouth from eating pineapples, or they have lemon in their water, because it is acid. However, and that's also why it makes a great cleaner. Citric acid is a great cleaner. But here's what we want to remember, though. These things do affect some people greater than others. Why might it be an issue as you get older? Well, there could be more imbalances as you get older. That rain barrel does begin to fill up. Your digestive system could be off. You may or may not be producing the proper amount of stomach acid like you once were. So the best thing I can recommend to you is a Candida metabolism and vitamins-based test, formerly the organic acids test, and we would be able to take a look to see if there is any type of overgrowth or maybe even H. pylori. We'll check. H. pylori actually would be checked on a stool or parasite-based test. So that's a stool test, and you could combine that with that organic acids test, now called the Candida metabolism and vitamins test. That's that. Why not for the fresh tomatoes? Well, they're not as acidic. Remember, canned tomatoes, you can put them in that jar and you don't need any preservatives. The reason you don't need any preservatives is because they have a low enough pH where bacteria will not grow. So hopefully that's been helpful. One more bit of advice. Darcy, please do go back, though, and look at my previous shows on acid reflux. There are much healthier things to do when you get acid reflux rather than drink a glass of cold cow's milk. Yes, it will help to coat the mucosa of the stomach, but what I'd rather have you do is use something like aloe vera, peppermint tea, marshmallow tea, DGL, many other substances that you can use that will be less harmful in the long run. Neeks is up next, Neeks. Hey, Dr. Brawl, I have a small bump at the upper inner lip. I believe it was caused by allergic reaction to lipstick brand or something. I visited my ENT and he was diagnosed it as a retention cyst. He recommends surgery to remove it. He says sometimes one can bite it off, but mine is in an awkward position to do so. It doesn't hurt or anything like that, but I would like it to go away. Are there any means aside from surgery for someone to get rid of it? My brother says to try high doses of vitamin C and N-acetylcysteine, but he's no doctor and would like to receive advice from someone who's qualified like yourself. As always, keep up the great work. Neeks, this is the strangest, most serendipitous timing ever. These retention cysts often come with exactly what I was just talking about with our friend Darcy before you. So what happens is these can actually be caused as like a canker sore or cyst on the lip rather than inside the mouth. And they can often be caused by acidic-based foods or an improper balance of pH in the body. Now, we're not talking about blood pH, but we are talking about a tissue-based pH, and your lip is tissue. So, believe it or not, I had one of these myself, and I had it removed around 12 or 13 years old. I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't even know what it was until 27 years old. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. Yes, it is benign. Yes, it's not a big deal. But it's a factor. It's a symptom that something's not balanced in your body. What I would do is I would look at to see if it's viral based. The other I would look at to see if it's acidic based. Just be careful for a bit on acid based foods. Now, I know this is going to be somewhat contradictory, but a lot of people get help from this by putting 1 tablespoon in about 6 ounces to 8 ounces of water in the morning, drinking that upon waking, and they do it again about an hour or so after dinner. 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar. Yes, apple cider vinegar is also acidic in your mouth, but it helps to balance the tissue pH in your body. So you can look at that. You can try that for a week. Is it helping? Yes or no? Then you can also go back to my podcast that I did on how to kill viruses. So you can check out that protocol on viruses. You can check out the lysine. You can check out the vitamin C. You can check, and I would use alkalizing vitamin C. So much. I mean, go back, check that out on Olive Leaf and Colloidal Silver. You can check out those shows. While it's on your lip, you could actually just add a little bit of baking soda, a little baking soda paste. You can mix a little bit of water with a little bit of baking soda in order to make a paste, and you can put it right on that retention cyst and see if it does help. My daughter gets them every once in a while when she eats pineapple, and we do that for her as well. And it works. Typically takes a day, maybe 2 maximum, for that to go down. I think that's about it. But again, remember, this podcast is not to give medical advice. If you need medical treatment, please do seek out your local walk-in clinic, your PCP, etc. I'm here to provide you with non-medical, non-diagnostic device. I'm not here to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease. We work on the underlying root causes of health. All right, Noelle's up next. Hey, Dr. Brawl, do you have any plans to offer the Rain Barrel Effect via audio? I just listened to episode 560 about speed reading, in which you mentioned auditory learning and audiobooks. Thank you for sharing your tips and for mentioning audio learning. I started consuming audiobooks when I had debilitating brain fog from chronic biotoxin exposure and chronic stress. And I hear so many people with chronic illness say they have trouble concentrating and retaining healing information via text. Now I'm way better. I still love audiobooks. I must be an auditory learner. Plus, it's so convenient to listen to books via audio while walking, driving, or doing household chores. Thank you so much for your informative podcast, for empowering people to empower people, and an audio version of your book would be an amazing addition. Noelle, no doubt about it. I'm really dropping the ball on that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I want to have an audio version of the Rain barrel effect, the only way it's getting done with my crazy schedule, the only way is to have someone else read it. I would hate someone else to read my book, but at the same time, it might be the only way to get it done. Because if not, I need to spend 3 days or 4 days inside of a studio where they're going to just listen to me read over and over and over for that. Or I could do a telephone-based service where I basically read for an hour a day forever, and then they would transcribe it into audio. So no doubt I want it done. And I know, I have a podcast, right? I have a podcast which is audio, and I don't even have an audio version of my book. It makes no sense. I agree with you. I need to get it done. People have asked. It will happen. I don't know when, but stay tuned. It will happen. All right, Jimmy's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for everything you do. After getting tested, I've discovered that I have very high cortisol levels, which is leading to anxiety. After doing some research and also experience in the fitness industry, I came to the conclusion that it is best to stop weight training and exercising until I get my cortisol levels back in normal range. Do you think this was the right move, or do you think I can still train? If not, when can I start training in your opinion? Well, so here's the thing. I would go back to the graduated exercise program that I teach inside of the Integrative Health Practitioner course and certification. So it's 4 parts. It starts from walking, then it starts with cardio, then it moves to cardio, then it moves to light body weight exercises, then it moves to more strength training, which is more neurological, and interval training, which is very neurological. So I agree, take care of your cortisol now. You have your entire life to lift weights. So you could do some walking, of course. You could do hatha yoga. So again, you could take up really fun things while you're taking a break from heavier lifting, and that would be great. So that's that. Again, take a break. Nothing wrong with that. Do some walking. If you're still in great shape, you're not worn out, try some cardio, light cardio, not interval, but some light cardio, and try some hatha yoga. Amazing. Try some qigong, try some tai chi, try different things. Why not? Because it's only going to take you 6 to 12 weeks or so for most people, let's say 12 weeks, to get those cortisol levels under control using something like full spectrum magnesium, adrenal soothe, whatever you need for the deep sleep protocol at night, using the daily nutritional support, using omega-3s, doing meditation. You're going to get it under control. And then once you do, just ease back into your workouts, body weight first. And then again, remember the most neurologically challenging, the highest cortisol producing is when you're exerting the most tension. That makes sense, right? The more tension, stress your body's under, the more cortisol it could produce. So keep your workouts between 20 and 40 minutes maximum, because cortisol is too high after 40 minutes for most people. And that's it. That's really it. Start with body weight, then continue to move up. And then, yes, eventually you'll be able to do 5, rep by 5 set days. That'll be okay, even if they do produce larger amounts of cortisol. So you'll be able to modulate this, and for sure you'll be able to find a program that works with your body as well. Okay, so Joanna's question is next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I would love to know more about diabetes. My dad is type 2 and gets tired often. What causes people with diabetes to be tired? His blood sugars do fluctuate sometimes. They are good other times. They are a little high. His diet isn't too bad, no sweets or sugar. He gets out and walks. Could you please refer me to any podcasts you have? And if you can explain briefly what causes the fluctuations in blood sugar and why they can get tired and even urinate more frequently, especially at night. Thank you so much, Joanna. Joanna, that's a really great question. I plan on actually doing a show on diabetes. I have it in my list for the next couple weeks. Now, sometimes shows do get bumped because although I try to think about, I have a huge spreadsheet of all the topics that I want to get to, but sometimes I'll be reading a book, I'll be reading a journal or research, and I will say, oh, I really want to talk about that. And so sometimes things get bumped, but plan on seeing it within the next couple of weeks on diabetes, because for sure, it's correctable type 2 diabetes. And for sure, it's going to, I believe, I just did I was actually on an interview about this. I knew this happened recently. My days, you should see what happens in one 24-hour period of time. It's amazing. It's a good life, but it's a little crazy. So this was just 2 days ago. I was interviewed by a news-based source, and they asked me about, now, again, 1 in 5 children and adolescents now, or young adults is diagnosed with diabetes or prediabetes. And they asked me why this was. So, we have to understand that we are looking at it's about 54.9 people by the year 2030 will have type 2 diabetes or diabetes in general. That's about 1 out of 5. That is 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 in the United States. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable statistic. And this did not exist. And it was not even close to this 100 years ago. This is a lifestyle-based issue. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand that it's not always easy, and it's multifactorial. So it really is. Like, it has to do with cortisol. It has to do with weight gain. So there's a lot that goes into this. But I'm going to get to that on the show. But let me get to your question. So here's the thing. I had type 2 diabetes. I failed the glucose tolerance test. So they give you about 72 grams of glucose, and they take your blood sugar essentially for the next 3 hours. So they do 3 to 4 different tests. And if after a 2-hour period of time, your blood sugar is not down below 126, then you are considered to have type 2 diabetes. Now, typically now they would also look at hemoglobin A1C, and your hemoglobin A1C would need to be above, 5.6 or above. So you have basically your fasting glucose should be below 126 upon waking, and your hemoglobin A16 should be below 5.6. If you're above in my opinion, a 95, but according to the conventional medicine, it's a 99. So if you're above a 99, and you are at that 5.6, well, then you're pre-diabetic. And then what happens is your fasting glucose continues to creep up, and then you are type 2 diabetic. But again, I'm giving the whole show away. So here's the thing. When I had type 2 diabetes, it was because of my Addison's disease, which was undiagnosed. So I would get massive drops in blood sugar. Like I would drop down into the 50s for blood sugar. You should really maintain between 75 and 95. So it would drop down too low. And then what happens is it causes a massive stress in the body. Your body's in survival mode. You're going to pass out. So what happens is, your body needs glucose for fuel, for function. Your brain needs it. Your muscles need it. So your body starts to break down glucose. Well, if there's not enough glucose in your liver, it actually starts to break down tissue. It needs glucose. So what happened was that would cause really massive fluctuations, and I wasn't able to start to get better until I controlled my blood sugar. So what we have to do is we need to get your dad to eat at regular intervals, typically the same time every day, 3 to 4 meals per day. Typically 3 meals is what's best to do. Higher fiber, protein in each meal to modulate the glucose or carbohydrate release in the body. And that's going to help overall with blood sugar. One of the reasons for the high nighttime urination is a cessation of the antidiuretic hormone your body naturally releases, which stops you from having to urinate for the 8 hours you're in bed at night. So what I would do is I would definitely have your dad run the stress mood metabolism test over at equilibriumnutrition.com, formerly called the thyroid adrenal hormone, to look at high cortisol levels at night. Because if he has that, well, it's going to be difficult to produce enough melatonin, which coincides with antidiuretic hormone. It will also look at hemoglobin A1C and insulin in the morning. So check that out, and we'll be able to provide more answers. All right, let's sneak in another question. Next question is from Nalini, Nalini. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Love your podcast. Listen to it all night when I can't sleep due to my skin itchy all over. I've done your detox and Big 5 test. I had to go see my doctor because my leg had a bump that everyone thought turned into staph. He looked at my skin with eczema everywhere and suggested I do biophotonic therapy. Do you know anything about it? Also, could red therapy panels help my skin? So, sure, happy to answer this. The red therapy could absolutely help, so there's no doubt about that. I don't know about biophotonic therapy. I don't know if it has anything to do with the release of negative ions, like from a PEMF mat, which can be helpful for sure. That is actually more of a neurological effect than what most eczema is attributed to yeast overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth in the gut, coinciding with what is called intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So I would certainly look at those. So if you've not run, you're in the Big 5, so I'm assuming if they ran that organic acids test, if they ran the stool, well, I don't know if you had the stool test, they would have found if there was any bacterial or yeast-based overgrowth. So there's that. There's also food sensitivities. So eczema is a big one, especially in kids. You'd be shocked. I was doing a book signing just a week ago or so. People said, I listened to your podcast. I took my son off of dairy. All of a sudden, all of his eczema went away. So it can certainly be a food sensitivity as well. Again, these, what we call diseases, eczema is not, it's a name. It's all that it is. It's a name, and it means a skin rash that's itchy, it's flaky, and it's not very nice to have. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't mean anything, right? So what's causing the eczema? Is it metals? Is it food sensitivities? Is it intestinal permeability? Is it yeast overgrowth? What is going on that's causing that? And so I can't tell you specifically, But what I can say is, let's find out that root cause. Let's go on that elimination diet. Let's do that CBO protocol. Let's do things that start to work at a deeper underlying root causal level, so that we then say, okay, this is what I had. This is what I did. Now I no longer have the outer, source of that. Meaning, like, eczema is on the skin, but most likely what's happening is internal and it's showing on your skin. Just like sometimes acne, right? Acne can be hormonal. Hormones are happening on the inside. Acne can be toxicity-based issues. So there's a lot that goes into this. So that is what I recommend to you. Again, I don't love external treatments done for eczema. I'm not against them for sure. I mean, we do things as well with different applications that you could put on them. We use green clay, other things like that. But really, those are only to be done in conjunction with how we're healing the body from the inside out. So hopefully that was helpful. I appreciate you writing in. I appreciate everyone writing in, of course. And thank you so much, as always, for listening to the Cabral Concept. We will be back tomorrow answering at least 5 more of our community's questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you're enjoying the holiday season. I'll talk with you tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.